Hey everyone, it's Justin, and today I am so excited to be participating in the Pretty Pink Posh February video hop celebrating the fantastic brand new release. For this video hop, we are giving away a $20 Pretty Pink Posh gift certificate at each of the stops along the hop. So make sure to check out all of the designers. After me, your next stop is going to be Carly Minner, so head on over there to give her some love. For today's video, I am going to be using a handful of the brand new release products to put together an adorable chick shaker card that is just going to be perfect for this upcoming spring season. We are going to start off by doing a little bit of ink blending, so we are going to use the watercolor circle with mask stencil in order to build the background of our card. I used some 1/2-inch mint tape to tack down my white cardstock to my watercolor circle mask stencil. Once I get all of my taped pieces nicely put into place, I'm going to begin doing some ink blending with some dye inks. Let's start with a light blue color. I'm going to pull in the Oh Boy dye ink, and I'm going to just use a simple ink blending brush to go ahead and ink blend onto this panel. I'm trying to be very gentle with my stroke motions of my hand so that I get a nice even application of the Oh Boy ink color for this top portion of this watercolor circle mask. Next, I'm going to pull in Aquatini dye ink, and using the same sort of method that we did for the top half of our ink blending, I am also going to use a blending brush from the bottom portion to get the bottom half blended up into that Oh Boy coloring. I really like how the Oh Boy and the Aquatini colors work together. It gives you a little bit more of a subtle ombre, but I do love that it gives those nice spring vibes. Now, because dye inks are water reactive, I'm going to pull in my distress sprayer and use the nozzle just to sort of tap out a little bit of water splatters onto our watercolor background. I do still have the stencil in place just to sort of corral the water to not get outside of the stenciled area. And as I peel back the stencil, you're going to see how that watercolor circle mask shape really is fantastic for our card. Now, pulling in some grape crush dye ink, I am going to smush this onto my glass mat and also water it down with a little bit of water from my distress sprayer, and then pick it up with a clean watercolor brush to splatter on top of my panel. Now, it is in a splatter box just to help keep my workspace nice and clean, and I splattered that grape crush coloring sort of all over the panel just to give some nice sort of detail with that coloring. Here's an idea for what the final panel looks like, and I'm going to set it aside for later. Now, I am going to use the Chick Shaker die, and using most of the elements included with this die set, I believe I'm using everything except the little feet. I'm going to die cut all the elements. So I did die cut the chick shape from some light yellow cardstock, a frame from darker yellow cardstock, an acetate chick shape, the cracked egg, the two eyes, and the beak in colored cardstock to get ready for our card. Now, I thought it would be nice to add a little bit of ink blending to the body of our chick, so I'm grabbing some Tiara dye ink, and I am going to blend that along the edges of our chick body. Now, yes, we are going to put a little bit on top of this, as we're going to end up putting the frame around this portion and allow the shaker beads to sort of move around this panel as well. So once I'm satisfied with the ink blending, we can move on to ink blending up the cracked egg. I'm going to pull in some party dress dye ink and just sort of pick it up with a pink designated blending brush and begin blending the sides of this egg to get a nice soft transition of color going from the light pink cardstock to the darker party dress color. I just think that this is going to work really well for the pastel vibes that we're going for on this card, and I've got my cracked egg all ready to go for later on. Now let's talk about assembling the actual shaker portion of our card, and we need to start by doing our acetate window. I'm going to put liquid glue all along the back side of our chick body frame that we had die cut, and then I am going to take the acetate body piece and adhere it directly to the top of this so it's on the back side of the frame. I'm then going to use an acrylic block just to add a little bit of extra pressure so that it dries nicely. Once dried entirely, I'm going to put a little glue where the eyes and the beak go on the front of this acetate, because I did think that you're going to want to have those little elements on top of the shaker bits, not behind them, for the little shaker beads to roll all over. So I get my little eyes and my beak nicely into place, and then I can take some foam tape strips and I begin to add them to the back side of this panel. Now I am bringing the foam tape up just a little bit on the body because this is a part that's going to be covered by the egg, and I don't need the shaker beads to go all the way down the body where I lose them. I can hold them up a little bit so I make my well a little bit more shallow for my shaker beads than I normally would all around the chick body. Once I get all of my foam tape strips shaped and into place, I can then take the shaker beads. I am using the Pastel Dreams shaker beads, and I'm going to pour them into the body of my chick. Now, once I'm happy with the amount of beads, I can then take the body piece of my chick outline, flip it so the inked portion is touching the foam tape, and layer it directly on top so that it lines up perfectly. Using some liquid adhesive, I am going to adhere my cracked egg portion to the front of my chick, and this is where you're going to see how this cracked egg is going to cover up those foam strips that I brought a little further up to create that well. Now, using the Hello Spring sentiment from the Spring Bloom stamp set, I'm going to stamp out the sentiment onto some light purple cardstock using Grape Crush dye ink. This is the same color we used for the splatters onto our ink blended panel, and I thought this would be a great way to continue that color onto our sentiment. Now, I do use the Spring Blooms coordinating die set because there is a coordinating die for this Hello Spring sentiment, so I line that up using some mint tape to hold everything into place, and I do process that through my die cutting machine. Once my sentiment is all cut out, I'm going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive to adhere a part of it directly to the shell of my chick shaker element. This allows our sentiment to get a little bit of lift onto the card and be the same sort of dimension that we are getting from the chick shaker element as well. Now, I do end up putting a little extra foam tape on the back of our chick shaker element just to make sure that everything is nice and secured once I put it on top of our panel. I also need to use some liquid adhesive behind the body of the chick so that everything still stays nicely adhered, and this card will be ready to be sent off to a recipient once I get it nicely placed onto the panel. Now, as most cards, the last step that we're going to do is put this onto a card base, and I have selected a top folding A2 sized card base for this card. I like to use the top fold when I want a little bit of extra whimsy added to this card, and because I thought that this was super fun and colorful with the chick image, I thought it would be the perfect candidate for that top fold. Now, with our card panel nicely adhered to our card base, this chick shaker card is fully completed and ready to be sent off to a loved one to celebrate the spring season. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today to celebrate the Pretty Pink Posh February release. These are some adorable products that I can't wait to see what you create with. Don't forget to hop along with us and comment on each of the posts to increase your chance of winning a $20 Pretty Pink Posh gift certificate. If you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for future crafting inspiration. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to all the other fantastic designers participating in today's February release hop. Thank you again for stopping by, and happy crafting, everyone.